WTF is going on with the Ford Maverick. And by WTF, I really mean what the Ford is going on with the Ford Maverick. So let's talk about what's going on with the Ford Maverick. What kind of wait times can you expect? Can you find one on the lot? How can you order one up properly? Should you make phone calls to try to get one now versus wait out your order, put in a new order? What are the delays going to look like if you put in an order? Where should you order? Or really more importantly, what type of questions should you ask to make sure that you order from the right place? Well, I'm here to answer those questions because I'm Johnny from Johnny's Car Care and Reviews, and my goal is to keep everyone informed so that people can save thousands of dollars, not have headaches when it comes to maintaining your vehicle. And of course, I want to keep everyone informed. I don't want anyone getting fooled. So those are my goals. Now let's start up this Ford Maverick talk. It's winter, and even some places down, last year Texas got snow. So let's start with a rare car care commentary. Important trick. If you get snow in your region, maybe you've never had snow or you almost never get snow. We get a lot of snow, and I can tell you there are definite ways. Arquibo, thank you so much. There are definite ways to protect your Ford Maverick or Ford Bronco. If you've got snow, it might be very tempting to take your snow brush, the little bristles, and rub that along your paint. I'm going to tell you, I've seen a lot of trades. I've got more than a decade's worth of trades that I've seen. I've been looking on lots anyways. Many years of looking at. The last 11 years, I've seen hundreds and hundreds of vehicles come through on trade. And I can tell you, if you take the bristles from your brush and you wipe the snow off these vehicles, even the new ones, snow brush, it's basically a pole, and at the end of the pole you've got little hairs, and they're not hairs, they're actually little like plastic strings, a type of plastic, and you take that to remove snow. Well, you're going to notice, hey, when I do this along the paint, my vehicle's cleaner underneath because, well, the snow is going to remove some of the dirt off your Ford Maverick or your brand new Ford Bronco. But in little time, you're going to notice your plastics are going to have all sorts of little lines in it, so your black plastics will not look good anymore. Bristles, thank you. They're called bristles. Brush bristles. So you take your snow brush, your snow scraper, you take the little bristles, you rub them along the plastics. You'll notice very quickly there's little lines in it, and you're not going to be very happy if you like a clean vehicle. Now, worse, if you do that over many winters, even just a few winters, your clear coat is going to have all those little lines in it. It's going to look horrible. You have lines going in every direction. And yes, you can compound your vehicle to get them off, but your vehicle can only handle so many compounds before you just don't have any clear coat, you could say, left to compound. Because when you do a compound, the way it removes those little lines is it kind of buffs the clear coat down to the height of those lines. So you don't see the lines anymore because you've reduced your clear coat layers. You can only do so many compounds on a vehicle. A compound is harsher. It digs down deeper than a polish, but you can only do so many polishes or so many compounds. And a wax job, certain waxes might temporarily kind of visually fill in those cracks, but before long, you'll do a few washes and you're back to having scratches in your clear coat. So you don't want to wear down your clear coat, because once the clear coat's gone, guess what? Then the sun's going to cook your paint, and it's going to fade the paint, and you're going to need a paint job. So whether you're buying a brand new Toyota, Ford, Audi, Porsche, Mercedes, whether you're spending $200,000 on a vehicle or $25,000 on a vehicle, keep it looking good. We're probably this winter even people in Florida are going to get snow. Maybe people in Texas will get snow. I want all of you to know this because it's an important trick. Almost all the trade-ins I take in have these scratches all over the place, and the snow brushes are a main cause of it. Now, if you're in a hot climate and you have a dusting rag, well, make sure you don't try to dust away or swipe away dirt. When you've got dirt on a vehicle, you can't just remove that by rubbing it off. And this is why, you always want to make sure that you break up that dirt as much as possible before contacting the paint. And this is why I do washes that are brushless washes. So your soap brush, I've been talking about snow brushes, but I should have also been talking about soap brushes. If you wash your vehicle with a brush with bristles, you got to watch out. They have to be unbelievably soft and have absolutely no dirt in them. Same thing for your mitts. Otherwise, your brand new vehicle is going to look like crap in not too long. So someone in the comments said, Dr. Johnny, that's very kind. Thank you so much. So what WTF is going on with the Ford Maverick? Well, now once your paint is looking great on the Ford Maverick, now you got to know some tricks on how to actually get your brand new Ford Maverick. And I can tell you right now on the lot, here are two that we have at our dealership. I'd say, guess what? Are they hybrids? Should you expect to get a hybrid off a lot and not put in an order? I'd say definitely not. We're a dealership that gets a good amount of Mavericks versus the people we have on our waiting list. We essentially have no one left on our waiting list that I know of for a Maverick. Maybe a few for 2024s, but I mean, we're getting 2023s in, and they don't have an assigned buyer. And we're also having, of course, orders canceled, but extra vehicles that we'll get in as just regular inventory for 2024, we will be seeing that for EcoBoost engines. So if an EcoBoost, that's the 2-liter turbo, 250 horsepower, 270 pound-feet of torque, available at pretty low RPM, making this a very fun, sporty little truck to drive around. Well, guess what? You are going to be able to pick up, if you're willing to make some phone calls, check on the internet, you will be able to get one right off the lot. But if it's a hybrid, I would not expect it. I'd say your chances are very slim because honestly, who's not going to take their hybrid order? It will happen. We have sold a few hybrids to individuals who were not the individual that ordered the hybrid because unfortunately we have some Ford Mavericks come in, hybrid Mavericks, 4 or 5 months ago, they'll have confirmed, oh, I'm going to take it when it comes in. But you know what? People are unpredictable, and it so happened that when we make the phone calls to say, hey, great, it's coming in, it's going to show up in 3 weeks, or it's showing up in 1 week, or it just showed up, 5 minutes ago. Or sometimes people just don't like the value of their trade-in because trade-ins have dropped tremendously from when we gave an evaluation, let's say, a year ago. Guess what? Some people do cancel their hybrids, so you could potentially, if you're very fortunate, get a hybrid off a lot. But I'd say if you're looking for a hybrid, here are the tricks. Order it up. It's not a Ford Maverick hybrid is not a Ford Bronco Sport. Ford Bronco Sport, don't worry, you'll find one. An Explorer. You'll start seeing those on lots. We've got a few Explorers. Heck, we'll get to it soon, but we even have 5 Broncos for sale. So I'd say you have a much higher chance of getting a Ford Bronco than a Ford Maverick hybrid. And Ford F-150s, whether it's a Lightning or petrol-powered model, they're all over the place, so you don't need to worry about ordering those up. But if we are talking about this wonderful little compact truck that comes in still at an incredible price, and you want the hybrid, step 1, find the right dealer. And how do we find the right dealer? We ask the right questions. So when you get to a dealer, maybe filter a few, but with some phone calls, call them up and say, hey, if I order a Ford Maverick hybrid, how many do you already have on your order list? What number would I be if I order with you? And finally, how long can I expect to wait? If you get positive answers to all those, then you're going to also want to ask them before going in, if I go into your store, will you, when I order with you, will you sign a purchase or lease offer? And will you, not, of course, I'll sign it as well as the customer, the buyer, but will the dealership sign the order sheet? This way, if they say yes to all this, it means you're going to get to lock in your interest rate. And if it comes in and the interest rate's better and the price, window sticker price hasn't increased, well, then you can go with the deal of when it comes in. Because when you order a Ford, you can lock in today's pricing or choose the future pricing of the month when your Ford Maverick comes in. Make sure that they say they will sign that. Make sure that they say they will sell at MSRP, and make sure that they will give you a copy. Keep that copy that they have signed, purchase lease it's called, or a lease offer. purchase offer or lease offer, and you need to have this sheet in hand, signed by them, signed by you, with your build purchase offer also signed. At least now you've got your price and interest rate fixed in. Now, in the meantime, maybe you can look into getting a better interest from the bank, because in Canada, these things are running at very close to 9%. Maybe you can do a little bit better with your financial institution, or maybe you can throw it on the house mortgage if you have a better interest rate on the house mortgage. No one can force you to pay for these with their financing. They can't say, oh, well, you know what, you're going to be financed with X bank at 9%, and have that conversation with them prior. When they're signing, have them sign that, you can pay cash or take Ford's financing, just to make sure they're not going to refuse you Ford's financing and force you to go with a bank at a higher percentage when the vehicle comes in. Now, I am very impressed with the Ford Maverick. One user, in our Ford Maverick community, one owner had an accident. The vehicle is completely scrapped, and him and his son were relatively A-okay. So it's very kind of that individual to have shared this with the Ford Maverick community. You can go see that at Ford Maverick Truck Club later. Please don't leave the show. We're just getting started, folks, and it's going to get better and better as we go forward. But you can get a Ford Maverick if you go with an EcoBoost. And the 2-liter is, if you like a sporty drive, both Maverick suspension will give you a fantastic drive. It handles great in the bendies, in the corners. And I would, Gary Graycar, I would have the Ford Maverick completely undercoated. And if it's the hybrid, make sure that the people doing the undercoating know how to undercoat a hybrid. You don't want them spraying to death those orange wires. You also don't want them, playing too much around those orange wires and shaking them about and trying to move them around and spray around them, because it can actually lead to death. They're orange because they're high voltage wires. Stillfill, thank you so much. Ridgeview, thank you very much for answering. You're a wonderful moderator and an incredible human being, and I really appreciate that you're working hard to answer people's questions. I am lucky to have you, my friend. I'm not lucky to have all of you. You guys are very kind to me. We're a very kind car and truck community. And now remember, the Ford Maverick, you can put 1,500 pounds payload on the vehicle. Ford says 1,500 pounds in the box, but if the payload's 1,500 pounds, that's where I'm not sure exactly what's going on, because total payload includes the weight of the driver and any passengers. But I can tell you, we had this truck. We've towed with this truck. It towed the 4-wheeler incredibly well, and that was the hybrid engine, which is front-wheel drive only. But I am expecting an all-wheel drive hybrid to be announced as a 2025 model. And who knows, maybe things get out of plan and unofficial plans, but maybe things get out of line and they announce it for 2025, and it'll be something you can order and receive in 2026. And I can tell you that thing is going to be super popular. So keep your eyes tuned on our channel, because we'll announce it so that you can put a deposit and do a proper order on one of these. An all-wheel drive hybrid Ford Maverick is going to be the hottest ticket in the entire auto market. Everyone's going to want one. It already is an unbeatable truck, folks. Jump on one today if you can. The 2-liter is for your sportier driver. Yes, it consumes more. It consumes twice as much fuel. To be honest with you, in the city, you're going to consume about twice as much fuel with the EcoBoost all-wheel drive versus the front-wheel drive hybrid. But on the highway, the difference isn't that. It's not that wild. It's not that huge of a difference. If you're careful, and when you really want great fuel economy with the hybrid, you need to drive really kind of very conservatively and respectfully on the highway. You're probably going to upset some people because you're going to go right on the speed limit. And then, yes, you can get, 5.5 liters per 100 kilometers, or about 40 some miles per gallon. If you're unbelievably careful on the highway, and I'll let the current hybrid owners talk more about that, like Ridgeview, for example, has a lot of experience. So yes, you can get about 5.5 to 6 liters per 100 kilometers on the highway with a hybrid versus an EcoBoost. You're going to be more around 7.5 to 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers, but that's not twice as much fuel. And it will provide twice as much fun if you like to have a little kick behind that pedal. So that's my big advice for the day. If you want to get one of these, shop your dealership, ask the questions that I just mentioned. Make sure you walk away with having left them they need to be able to answer yes when you ask, do you confirm your orders? They need to say yes. And they need to actually know what it is. They need to send forward your driver's license. They need to send forward the purchase or lease offer. They need to send forward the build sheet. And they also, ideally, I know in our region, we send a sheet saying that the buyer won't be exporting the vehicle within the first 6 months and 15,000 kilometers. And also a sheet that says the trade value will vary with the market in case the dealership has, spun a web of lies. Ford does their best to clear that up and set things straight with a sheet that the customer signs. For us up here, Ford likes to see those sheets. So there's also another sheet that just goes through saying this is a reservation. It's not a guaranteed build, but that Ford will do their best to get it built and in a timely manner. It also basically goes on to say that, if the dealership promised you some dates, they don't say beware of a dealership that lied to you, but the paragraph talks about how Ford cannot guarantee any dates. Well, obviously, if the dealership was like, order with us, I promise to get you a hybrid within 3 months. Well, when you go to sign that sheet, Ford wants to see that sheet because Ford then sees that their customer, despite what the dealership may have said, whether they're lying or they're just don't know what's going on, well, the buyer can actually see the real deal right on the sheet from Ford. So Ford is working hard to make sure that things get done properly. Now, of course, there's always rule breakers in every profession. And there's some dealers that are great dealers and there's some dealers that are bad dealers. So what can you do? I'll tell you what you can do. You shop your dealership first of all, and then get as much as possible in writing. Look over that purchase or lease offer. Check out the interest rate. Make sure the price matches up with the internet. And then, of course, finally, get them to sign off on everything. If you think that it could be an issue, sign off and look through the purchase or lease offer and make sure there's no dealer administration fees, no hidden fees, no markups or market adjustment fee. Yes, the market wants this truck bad. It's the number one truck. I'm giving it my number one truck marks as well. It's the 2023 truck of the year. It's the best truck to buy. It's the smartest value, and it is a good truck. It's very safe. We've seen several people total these. They are very, very safe in an accident. It's unbeatable, and no one currently is coming close to competing with this. Now, that's what you can do for the Ford Maverick. You can find an EcoBoost on a lot. If you believe in miracles and unicorns, maybe you'll get a hybrid, but those often will go to people who are on wait lists. So what can you do? Order up your Ford Maverick hybrid. If you find a really trustworthy dealership, maybe it's worth ordering an EcoBoost with them because that EcoBoost might come in as quickly as 2 to 4 months. A lot of the EcoBoosts that we've ordered up have been coming in roughly 2 to 4 months. That's the 2-liter EcoBoost, all-wheel drive in our case because we don't have access to the front-wheel drive. So if you're looking for a Ford Maverick EcoBoost, shop your dealership. If you really give confidence to the dealership, maybe it's worth ordering one up from them instead of taking one off a lot from a dealership that's going to want markup or dealer fees or administration fees added on. So that's how you can save thousands of dollars on the Ford Maverick. It's how you can make sure to not get fooled on the Maverick, and you can really avoid headaches and bust right through that BS. So that's what we can do for the Ford Maverick. Now, folks, we've got to talk about the Ford Bronco.